Hey guys, Tony K, Mr. Fix-It. How you doing? Hope everybody's staying safe. I know it's hard. Keep those masks on as I work without one right here. But I'm safe, don't worry about me. Alright, so today's problem. I got a phone call. My toilet's not working. And I come right over to see instantly that the fill valve is gone. It's not working. It's broke from here, so this is a pretty easy job. A lot of people will find that if your toilet is hissing and then stopping in the middle of the night and then starting up again, you have a slow leak. Something's going on, and this is typically what you're going to need to change. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change out the flap because it's old, and I'm going to change out this fill valve. So if you ever notice that your toilet's just constantly filling, you're wasting a lot of water, you're wasting a lot of money. Call a plumber or come look at my video and see how easy it is to do this. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit your shutoff valve underneath here. Every single toilet should have a shutoff valve right below it. And you're just going to turn it righty-tighty. Believe it or not, I got to tell people righty-tighty these days. Righty-tighty tightens her up, okay? So that takes care of the water. Let's get rid of the water inside the bowl, the tank rather. I'm going to be popping this off. This is going to come off. We'll put a new one. So we want to drain that water out good. Now there's residual water that's going to be in there. So what we'll do is when I'm going to be pulling this valve out from here, and it's going to create a hole right underneath here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bucket under here and catch that residual water. Or another way to do it would be to just get a sponge and sponge the water out. However you want to do it, but you want to disconnect underneath here. You'll take a peek underneath. I'll let the cameraman get in there. That's your supply line, and underneath here, let me see if we can see it right there. Yep, is your supplies. So you simply, and believe it or not, a lot of these by hand, like this one by hand, you're just going to disconnect your water supply. There will be residual water. There always is. It will come out of there. And then once you take this off, you can take this nut off. And that's going to loosen up the valve, and then all the water will spill out and you can catch it into a bucket under here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that move right now. I'll make that move and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the new fill valve. Okay, very simple. Comes with a few pieces. This is the rubber gasket that will hold the seal to the toilet for you when you put on this nut from the bottom. So you're gonna, first thing is you're gonna slide that up nice and tight onto it. Okay, nice and snug. Alright, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna size it. We're gonna put it in here. And what you do, you don't want this to be too tall or too low. This actually has an adjustment on it. So you might find that you might have to go higher, like pulling it high. This little slip nut right here, you pop it off from this part and now you can adjust. I'm actually going to leave it right where it was. There's no need to move it, so it's locked in place. We'll put it in here. This screw right here will adjust your float, so you can adjust the amount of water that comes in your toilet. So if you screw the screw down so it goes to the bottom of here, you will be allowing it to accept less water. If you bring it up, or vice versa, less or more water depending on this adjustment. So you can use your fingers or just put a little screwdriver in there to make an adjustment for the high and low. So it's very simple. We're just going to place this in. Now be aware of this fill hole right here. This is going to be connected to a tube which is going to go into your overflow, which assists filling your toilet on a flush. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this valve down first from underneath with the nut that's provided. Gonna give that a crank on, and I'm going to use a wrench just to go ahead and give it one little bit. Make sure it's torqued on just a little bit more than my finger strength for this one, just to make sure we don't want it to leak. Once we fill here, we want to make sure you are snug, but don't over snug it. These pieces of plastic, they crack, and there's no need for it. Then you put your fill back on your water line supply. Make sure you're not cross-threading anything. Make sure that you're putting the nuts back on straight. If they cross-thread, they will leak on you. It will not be a proper seal. Cross-threading meaning when you turn the nut onto the thread, and if it bites sideways and you start turning it on sideways and it's not straight, it's gonna mess up all the threading and the seal on you. And then you'll have to go buy a new one. Supply line in. Fill valve. Alright, once we're all set down here, we're gonna go ahead and turn the water on. And we make sure nothing's leaking. But well, we're not gonna turn that on yet. Let's go ahead and put in our little fill piece here. This snaps on like this. It's got like a little mouth there. And this, you can control the amount of water fill by using that adjustment. These little clips right here clip on. After you seal it, put it on. Alright. That's that side. Now we're going to go ahead and put this side, lock this one on. I'll slide this down the tube. Move this up. That bad boy on there and lock her. Okay, so that should be fine when the toilet seat comes onto it. The top lid comes on, it'll still be fine. The water will still shoot in there. All right, last but not least, I have an adjustable float flapper. Now this is numbered 1 through 10. I like these because sometimes the tank, you'll fill it up with water and you flush the toilet and the flap will either open and then close right away, and it won't let enough water down the tank into the bowl to create the centrifugal force necessary for the flush for that pull. So if you need this flapper to stay open longer, you can actually turn it and adjust the numbers from minimum to maximum. So it'll stay open longer, it'll stay open shorter, however you want to set it up. That's trial and error. Once you put this on, you make your flush, you'll have to start looking for those types of adjustments that might need to be made. So we'll snap this bad boy on. Just snaps right onto the old overflow setup. Nice little flapper there. And you don't want the chain totally loose, but you don't want it pulled so tight that it actually holds the flapper up on you. So you want some looseness to this. So I'm going to bring it up to about right here, and I'm going to bring the chain right back into the same piece and lock it down into it. You don't want any hanging pieces to intrude or get involved or be or stop this in any way from needing to go where it's got to go. I actually got to get a little bit higher, so I'm going to have to adjust the whole chain. I'm going to take the whole thing off and just reset it down here where I think I'm making a guesstimate. This should be all right. Nope, still not. Still too much. Alright, like I said, trial and error. Let's see, that should do it right there. We should be good to go. If this chain pulls it all the way to the top like that, then you know you're alright. It's as far as it's going to go anyways because it's hitting the back here. Alright, so now we're going to turn this bad boy on and see what we got. Now right now, underneath here, I'm noticing when I turn the water on, this always happens with these valves. Once I turn it on, this nut right here, it's leaking from it. You can see it dripping. I'm going to take a wrench and we're just going to, again, righty-tighty that. Bring it up. That should solve that leak. It's just it's been so old, so long since he's been touched. Sometimes you just got to crank that pack nut right back down, just like that, and it stops the leak. So be aware of that. That happens a lot when you haven't touched a fill valve in a long time, chances are very good it's going to leak on you like that. So we'll let the toilet fill and we'll get right back. Alright, so we're pretty close to it being filled. Watch how that raises with the water. Here's your old water line right here. I got it to stop right at the water line. That's because of this plunger. Now again, if you adjust this nut right here, higher or lower, it'll allow this water to come up higher or lower depending on if you need it. This fill valve, this fill line right here goes in and it fills your toilet, your tank and your bowl, and you're all set up. So we're going to give it a flush here. I got it set for the flapper to stay open. This is an old school toilet, so sometimes they're hard to adjust. But we got good siphon happening. It's giving a good pull. Went down fine. Flapper shut. Fill valve is on. We're not leaking. Clean up after yourself. Don't be a pig. Don't let the client think you're a disgusting slob. Alright people, that's it. What I used was a kit like this. It's called a universal fill valve with 2-inch flapper. They're $13 at Home Depot. Cheap enough fix to solve your problems, especially if you have leaking water constantly. Your water bill will be doubled easily. Okay people, thanks again. Take it easy. Remember to subscribe.